answers, it's going to take every bit of the next 45 minutes. Okay, so make sure that you've got yourself one of these. It should have a Master's Advantage program designed to add another 25 transactions. So the question I always get is, how do I take all of these activities that we line out, we suggest you need to do on a daily, weekly basis, and get it into a calendar for a week? So that's what I want to try and do today. I want to give you a little bit of overview of scheduling and time management, and then I want to show you in detail how you can put your life in your calendar and then make sure that your activities get in there, okay? So we'll talk more about that as we move along here. First thing you have to understand is that you have to be looking at one calendar. You don't have a personal calendar and a business calendar, okay? Some people function with that. You have to look at everything as one calendar. Your business life and your family life go into one calendar. Because has this ever happened to you where your business life collides with your family life? Has that ever happened? Yeah. And what happens to your stress level when that happens? Goes through the roof, right? You get upset with yourself, your family gets upset with you, you're upset with the family, everything. So your emotions are doing this constantly. So what we want to try and do is put everything in one calendar. A. B, write this down. Family first. Family first. Family first. I always say that either way, they're going to be first, so you might as well put them in first. You'll get that later. Okay? So your family's always going to be pulling on you in some way, shape, or form. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, how that lays out. So I wrote down here, truth number one in time management. It's more essential to success to be consistent than to be precise. Write that down. It's more essential to success in life, in weight, in saving money, in time management, to be consistent than it is to be precise or exact. I wrote down the power of consistency is one of the most powerful and important forces in the entire world. In sales, more than any profession, consistency of action pays big. Consistency of action pays off very, very big. While infrequent action, even when it's right, pays very little. Example, the one-on-one retreat. We saw great examples of people doing fabulous role plays, doing a good job. Some of them were spectacular. Some of them were, by our standards, okay. Because some of you, by the way, are fabulous at your role plays and your scripts and dialogues. You're actually very, very good. The difference is that even if they do an okay role play, they'll have a chance of getting the business because they do it consistently over time. Even though you might be better at a particular role play or script or dialogue, if you don't do it enough, you won't get as much business. Does that make sense? You guys with me on this? There's a lot of chewing going on here. So I wrote down daily consistency of prospecting and lead follow-up is your secret weapon to success and high profitability. Consistency. So I wrote down here, your greatest possession is the 24 hours you have in front of you. If you would think of that in terms of your life, in terms of scheduling, in terms of urgency, and look at the next 24 hours as critical, and you do that consistently, the next 24, then the next 24, then the next 24, and the next 24. Imagine what you could do. Has there ever been a time where you didn't do what you were supposed to do in the next 24 hours, in the last 24 hours? Does that ever happen? Well, so then how do you feel about yourself? Not good, right? And when you don't feel good about yourself, the next 24 hours you look at it and say, well, geez, I didn't do this, so then therefore, how am I going to catch up? We talked about this. It's January. 1/12 of the year is over. Okay? So some of us are saying, wow, I still got 11 more months. You can't think in those terms. Because what happens is the next month goes by. And the next month goes by. Then the next month goes by. Now you're in June. How fast? Let me ask a question, just for kicks here. Y2K. Familiar? Y2K, anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. How long ago? 13 years ago. Like it was yesterday, wasn't it? Y2K. We were just changing the clocks. The world was going to come to an end. Microsoft didn't have it all figured out. Everybody was worried that the computers would all stop and the planes would crash. Remember that? Yep. 13 years ago. In the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, the time goes by. So if 13 years ago seems like yesterday, and June seems so far away, but anybody remember what they just did last New Year's? Where were you last New Year's Eve? 2012 to 2013. Where were you? That was almost 30 days ago. Today's what, the 28th, the 29th? 29. 29 days. So we have to be consistent over time and can't lose too many of those days. The greatest possession you have is the next 24 hours that you have in front of you. And how you spend that time will have the most important impact on your life. Are you going to be doing the activities you should be doing or not? And what activities are those supposed to be? We think they're going to be the things that are lined out here. We've proven over years that if you do this, and all this is basically what Mike Ferry has told me to tell you to do over the last 40 years. We just kind of put it in our terms. But it's basically what he's told me to help me be successful and then turn it around to give to you. So we line all of that out. It's all right here, and we'll talk about more of it in just a couple of minutes. So here's a thought. Here's kind of where I want to start. We're at the 29th day of January, but so is everybody else, right? So whether you earned $1 million this last year in 2012, or you earned $27,000, write this down. We're all starting at the same spot. Think about that. All of us are starting at exactly the same spot. We have the same number of work days ahead of us. We have the same number of hours in the day. Neil Weichel and Karen Bernardi have the same 24 hours as you do. Think about how exciting that is. Wow, that's pretty exciting. If they can do it in the same 24 hours and I have the same 24 hours they do, then I have the potential to do extraordinary things, don't I? Fascinating stuff. I wrote down here, we have the same number of days in the week, and we have the same weeks in the month, and we have the same months in the year as everyone else. Get that in your head. So we all are starting at zero. No matter what you've been, or who you are, or what you've done up to this point in your life, we're all starting at 0. Now, the 0 is starting to go away a little bit because we're 29 days into January. Some of you have done some of the activities that you're supposed to do. I'm not going to have you raise your hands, but some of you haven't. Some of you haven't. So let's get into this. First of all, to work on a schedule, to work on time management, you need to get the morning right. Write that down. In your life, if you can get this, you've got to get the morning right. Imagine you get your activities done 210 to 240 days this year. In the morning, you get that right. Because if the morning's right, the afternoon seems to follow. When the morning's right, what happens in the afternoon? Crash and burn usually, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you need to get the morning right. The morning, write this down, starts the night before. The morning starts the night before. So what do I mean by that? What I'm talking about is if you stay up very late, it's hard to get up early the next morning, right? If you overeat the night before, you sometimes have a sluggish night's sleep, and it's difficult to get up or you don't feel really good. If you have a drink, this is fascinating. If you have, and I'm not talking about drink a lot, I'm just talking about one beer or one glass of wine at dinner, you will feel lethargic the next morning. Try this. If you normally get up early the next morning, 5:30, get up, get out of bed, and get going and get to the gym. One night, just have a glass of wine at about 6 o'clock. Pretty early. One glass of wine, and then note how you feel about getting up the next morning. You will be a little lethargic. It'll be a little bit more difficult to get up. And then those of us that will have more than one glass of wine or one shot of scotch, that's a different problem, okay? But that's the truth about this. The morning, starts the night before, all right? So, here's how I want you to lay out your schedules. So first of all, we talked earlier, you're going to put family first in there. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to put your business commitments in, okay? And then the third thing is you're going to put your appointments and your prospecting in. So you go home, this is your homework assignment. You go home, and anyone that wants, I've got blank schedules for the week that you can lay out. You can get those a little bit later. So the first thing you do is go home to your family, and you ask them, where do they need you for the next quarter? That's what you'd like to know. Actually, right now I work on the whole year. I try to get all the family commitments I can for the whole year. But let's just work on the quarter. So moms, you know that the kids have school, and you know that kids have PTA meetings, or they have back to school nights, they have the back to the teacher nights. You know those. So find out when they are. And if you have multiple kids at multiple schools, you've got to find this out. You're going to have them, and you're going to want to go, and your kids are going to want you to go, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, dads, find out from moms, because mom is going to pull on you to be there. Rightfully so. You both need to be there. So plan on it. You want to be there. You want to be part of that. Some of us have elderly aunts and uncles or parents that need our help to get to the doctor or to get someplace, or maybe some young children that need to get. Anticipate it. Write it down. Where do they need you to be? One of the things moms or dads, I guess, can too, take the kids to the dentist. as an example. Kids supposed to go to the dentist. We're all supposed to go to the dentist every 6 months, right? Get checked out, get taken, okay. So I found this out. I would call the dentist. This goes back, 25, 30 years ago. I would call the dentist, and I want to prospect in the morning, right? So I would try to make an afternoon appointment. Everybody with me? Well, moms want to take their kids to the dentist when? After school, right? Which is in the afternoon. All those appointments are booked. What do they have available? Morning, when I want to what? Prospect. So you have to make the appointment way in advance. So I make my appointments way in advance. So in some cases, a year in advance to make sure that I get this done so that I can get in and get taken care of what I need to get taken care of. Anticipate it. You're going to do it. You have family events. You have family commitments. You have family trips. Where do you need me? I want to tell you something. You go to your spouse or significant other tonight, and you bring them this calendar, and you say, where do you need me? They're going to look at you like you're on drugs. Because you don't talk like that to them. So now we're going to start working on our relationship too. It's now the family's input is important in the time. If they're with us, then they're not against us, and we're all going in the same direction. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have some conversation about negotiating different times, different schedules, different commitments. I get that. But don't start with putting Mike Ferry events in first, and they say, well, let's go in July, blah, blah, and you say, oh, can't do that, I'm going to Mike Ferry. Okay? Then they say, well, you don't want to play. You start with them first. Now, they might say, I want to go see my mom or my parents, or I want to go on a family vacation at this particular time. Okay, just write it in. Okay, put it in pencil, because there's going to be conversation later about it. Have you ever, this is where you get into trouble. You want to go to a Mike Ferry event, or you want to go to a continuing education event, and you write it in your calendar. You kind of mention it to your spouse or significant other, or maybe you don't. It just slips your mind, etc. And a week before the event, you say, oh, by the way, I'm going to be gone for 4 days. Does that ever happen? Yeah? What happens in that conversation then? They're mad at you. You're mad at them. They don't want you to go because they're X, Y, and Z. You want to go because of A, B, and C. Now you've got this conflict. It's hard to resolve the conflict a week or 2 or 3 from the event. It's easy to resolve the conflict 6 months previous. Get it? So we can have this whole conversation 6 months. We can have a conversation today about the Superstar Retreat in June. But let me tell you something. Don't have the conversation about I want to go to the Superstar Retreat the first week of June for the 3rd week of June, because you're going to have some stress. Do it today. Just have the conversation, plan it out. Everybody with me on this? Yeah. Okay, great. So the first thing you're going to do is family. The second thing you're going to do, and you go through the whole period that you're working on, whether it's a month, whether it's a week, or a month, or a year. Doesn't matter. Family first. The second thing you're going to lay into your schedule is going to be your business commitments. Now, business commitments are going to be office sales meetings. They're going to be continuing education. They're going to be taxes. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the 15th of April comes every year. It's the weirdest thing, because on the 14th of April, the office actually is somewhere else. No one's working. Why? Because they left it to the 14th to work on getting their taxes done. Let me tell you, the 15th of April, your taxes are due. The calculations are due and sent in. So work on them, work backwards. If it's going to take you a couple months to put it together, then work on it in advance. But you need to know that. You need to set up those appointments and do those kinds of things. Continuing education. This is the weirdest thing. You need a real estate license to sell real estate in the state of California, right? Say yes.
Yes.
I can't pay you, I don't know if you know this or not, if you don't have a real estate license, you close escrow, but your license lapses, I can't pay you. Did you know that? And yet, I can't tell you through the year how many people let their real estate license lapse and they can't get paid. I can't do this because then I'm busted. I can't do it. And yet, you have 4 years to get the continuing education. Did you know that? Hello? Okay, and it's every 4 years. It hasn't changed. So you've got to get it, so that when your license renews, it renews simply, because right now the Department of Real Estate is way understaffed. It's taking a long time to get the information through, where you could get it through before in 2 or 3 weeks. Now it could be 2 or 3 months. Okay? And I've had to hold checks for a couple of months. That's terrible. So it's coming. It's due. That goes also in your business commitment. Everybody with me on that? Any questions on that? Okay. Then the third thing is your prospecting time and your appointment time. Because here's what's going to happen. You're focused on making an appointment. So what I want you to do is I want you to put blocks of time set aside for appointments in your week. If your goal is to take, let's say, 2 listings a month, okay? And to take 2 listings a month, you need to get 4 listing appointments. Let's just hypothetically, okay? So that means you have to go on at least 1 listing appointment a week. Everybody with me? Okay? 4 appointments. So if you don't have a target in your week for an appointment, remember, no appointment, no money, right? No appointment, no money. So there's got to be every week 1 or 2 targets to shoot for, to put a name and a phone number and an address in, to go out on that appointment, whether it be a buyer or a seller. So if you don't have any targets in your week, you're probably not going to hit anything. If you don't hit anything, you're not going to go to any appointments. No appointments and no money. No appointments, no money. I'm telling you, that's the way it works. So, and then your prospecting time. So here's the real estate agent rule. I don't want to prospect so much that anything I could possibly do other than prospecting, I will do. So what gets lost, always, what's the first thing that'll go on a regular basis if something else comes up in your week? Prospecting. So now, let's back up. If you had an appointment, would you blow off the appointment? No. Hello? No. Probably not, right? And yet, without prospecting, we can't get an appointment. Yet we quickly, and I mean quickly, throw out the prospecting. Okay, maybe not all of it, but half of it. Well, remember we said, you can't hit your numbers today unless you're doing more at a higher level. Can't be done. So you guys with me so far? Yeah. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about getting this in a schedule now. Any questions on anything we covered so far? No? Everybody's got this? Okay, good. So we said, in order to add 25 closed transactions over the next 12 months to wherever you are, these are the activities you need to do. You need to work 5.5 days per week. 8 to 10 hours a day. You need to spend 3 times a day, 10 minutes reading positive or listening to positive thoughts. Spend 15 minutes 2 times a day repeating affirmations. Spend 10 minutes 2 times a day reviewing your goals. Check in with your coach no later than 8:15 in the morning. We're asking you in the next category to attend group role play, half an hour, 5 days a week with at least 4 different partners. Attend the advanced script class, which we will have at 1 o'clock following this. Write your scripts out daily. Watch Mike Ferry TV. Watch neilschwartz.net. Videotape your role play. Review your listing presentation. Record your listing presentation. Record all your telephone prospecting. Preview 5 properties a day, door knock 10 around each one, and attend at least one Mike Ferry workshop in every 90 days. Then we said participate in Ford Blitz and Door Blitz. Prospect a minimum of 4 hours a day by telephone and outdoors. Half an hour daily of effective lead follow-up. Visit 5 expireds at the door, or old expireds at the door, and then knock 10 houses around each one. Assemble your past client center of influence list. Add 8 people to that list on a monthly basis. Contact each person a minimum every 60 days by phone, weekly by email, and monthly by snail mail. Hold 2 open houses a month, or if you don't want to hold open houses, have those periods of time that would be designated for open houses, use those as prospecting time every other week. Pre-qualify every listing appointment. 1 hour per week, communicate with your sellers. We want you to complete an annual business plan. We want you to prepare a schedule for rest of year blocking out non-business activities. We want you to track your numbers daily, and we want you to check in daily. That's what we want you to do. If you do that, I'm telling you, if you do that 210 to 240 days a year, and you do that at what I'll consider a 6, 7, or 8 in terms of presentation skills and handling objection skills, you will do 25 to 40 transactions depending on your experience level. I'm telling you. Done. Every case. No exception. Kenneth.
I assume that all the activities that you cover in this paper is contained in those 10.5 hours a day, correct?
Correct.
Number 2, how should I proportion of each activity properly to make it effectively?
So the question is, how do I proportion all this time out? Well, some of it is answered in there by saying it's 30 minutes this and it's 10 minutes that. So, but what I want you to do is, if you guys will turn the next page. Yeah, right there. So I laid out 2 weeks. Excuse me, 1 week. 6 days. There's extra copies on the other side here. So and I'm going to walk through each day. Okay? For those of you that have seen me do this before, I apologize in advance, but I suspect you're not doing it at a high level yet, so maybe you'll pick up an idea or 2 here. On Monday, which is, by the way, next Monday, coincidentally. So if you want to just follow this, that's cool. Now, I did not put your family commitments in there, although I did write down times to go home and times to be with the family. And in fact, in this week, I've got you going home 7 o'clock on Monday, 5 o'clock on Tuesday. I've got you, oh, excuse me, sorry, wrong way. 6 o'clock on Monday, 6:30 on Tuesday, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. That's after appointments. That's at the end of the day, including an appointment. 7 o'clock on Thursday, 5 o'clock on Friday. You're going to be with the family at 2 o'clock